All right, welcome. Today, we're going on an absolutely incredible journey deep inside ourselves to explore the microscopic, bustling cities that are the building blocks of life itself.
I want you to just think about this for a second. What if you're not just one thing? What if you're actually a massive, teeming civilization of something like 37 trillion individual living cells? Each one is its own little world, all working together in perfect harmony.
So, to really wrap our heads around this inner universe, we first need to get a handle on the fundamental laws. The constitution that governs every single one of these microscopic worlds. And our story really begins way back in 1665. There was a scientist, Robert Hooke, and he pointed a pretty simple microscope at a tiny sliver of cork. What he saw looked like tiny, empty rooms, or cells. He was literally the first person to ever see this hidden world.
Hooke's discovery, well, it paved the way for one of the most important ideas in all of biology, the cell theory. And it's got three simple, totally non-negotiable rules. Rule 1, if it's alive, it's made of cells. Simple. 2, the cell is the most basic, fundamental unit of life there is. And 3, and this is a big one, you can't just magic a cell out of thin air. Every single cell has to come from another cell that already existed.
Now, what's really fascinating is that even though all life plays by these rules, not all cells are built the same way. There are basically two main blueprints. You've got your simple one-room studio apartment, and then you have the complex, sprawling metropolis. So, on one hand, you have prokaryotic cells, like bacteria. They're incredibly efficient, but they're simple. No central control center, no specialized departments. But on the other hand, you have eukaryotic cells. These are the complex cities, with a central nucleus and all sorts of specialized little structures. And this is the blueprint for plants, fungi, and, well, for us.
So, for the rest of our little tour here, we're going to be focusing on the eukaryotic cell. Why? Because you are made of trillions of them. This isn't just some boring biology lesson. This is a tour of your own home.
All right, it's time to go inside. We're going to meet all the specialized structures, the organelles that work around the clock to keep this whole cellular city up and running 24/7.
First stop, City Hall, the nucleus. This is Command Central. This is where the city's most important information, the master blueprint for absolutely everything the cell will ever do, is kept safe. And that blueprint? It's your DNA.
Now, scattered all throughout the city, you're going to find these countless little workshops called ribosomes. These are the protein factories. They are constantly reading the instructions sent out from the DNA and building the proteins that are the building blocks, the messengers, and the workers for the entire cell.
But what powers all this activity? Where's the electricity coming from? Well, say hello to the mitochondria, the power plants of the cell. They take in nutrients and they convert them into the universal energy currency, a molecule called ATP. And here's something wild. Mitochondria are so special, they actually have their own separate DNA, probably a leftover from a time long, long ago when they were their own independent organisms. How cool is that? And all of this, the nucleus, the ribosomes, the mitochondria, it's all suspended in the cytoplasm. But don't think of it as just empty space. No way. It's more like the city's atmosphere, its streets, its waterways, all rolled into one. It's this thick, jelly-like substance where everything gets moved around and all the chemical reactions of life actually happen.
Now, our animal cells are pretty amazing, don't get me wrong. But our cousins over in the plant kingdom, well, they've got a few exclusive upgrades, some specialized departments that we just don't have.
And this really shows you the key differences. Plant cells have a rigid cell wall that gives them structural support. I mean, that's why a tree can stand so tall. They have chloroplasts, which are basically their own personal solar-powered food factories. And they usually have one massive central vacuole for storage, which is something we just don't have. So, with all this crazy activity going on inside, how does a city this complex control what comes in and what goes out? Well, it all comes down to a really sophisticated security system right at the border.
And that is the cell membrane. Now, this isn't a stiff wall. It's a flexible, intelligent gatekeeper. It wraps around the entire cell, and it carefully controls every single thing that tries to get in or out, making sure the city always has that perfect internal balance.
Okay, so how does stuff actually get across? Well, there are two main ways. You've got passive transport, which needs zero energy. It's like floating downstream, moving from a crowded area to a less crowded one. But then you've got active transport. This is different. It actually requires energy, that ATP from the mitochondria, to actively pump things against the current, kind of like a salmon swimming upstream, from a low concentration area to a high one.
And you know, maybe the most critical kind of passive transport is osmosis. This is all about the movement of one thing, water. Keeping just the right amount of water inside is absolutely essential for a cell to survive, and osmosis is the automatic process that takes care of it.
So here's the crucial point, right? How do we get from one of these tiny, single cities to a complex organism, like you or me? Well, let's zoom out and take a look at the whole magnificent big picture.
It's this beautiful, organized hierarchy. Individual cells with similar jobs, they group together to form a tissue, like your muscle tissue. Then different tissues work together to form an organ, like your heart. Those organs then cooperate in an organ system, like your whole circulatory system. And when all those systems work together, you get the complete organism, you.
Which brings us right back to where we started. That simple definition, it really holds everything together. Every single structure in your body, every function it performs, it all starts right here, with this one fundamental unit of life.
So I'll leave you with this thought to chew on. If each and every one of your trillions of cells is its own complex, living city, and they're all cooperating for a single purpose, what does that make you? A collection of cities? A nation? Or maybe an entire living universe?